Welcome back to Gentle January, an antidote to the 75 hard style start to the new year that many of us are used to. Today we are discussing my personal all-time favorite topic and my subject of expertise, which is movement and exercise. Yes, I am comfortable calling myself an expert. I have been in the fitness industry for 10 years. I have taught so many classes, I don't even want to try to do the math. So many people I can't even keep count of. And I have multiple certifications and I teach a wide variety of classes. So yes, I would consider myself an expert. We all know that exercise, for most people, has positive health impacts. I am saying for most people because I am an expert in this field, and I understand that there are some people with chronic health conditions that exercise actually exacerbates and makes worse. For the most part, if you are not one of those people who has one of those specific health conditions, exercise can provide you with a lot of health benefits and just benefits in general. In January, we absolutely get overwhelmed with messaging around exercise, changing our bodies, aesthetic goals, weight loss goals, you name it. We get ads on the TV, we get ads on the radio, we get ads on our phones, we get ads on billboards, we get ads on YouTube videos. You pretty much cannot escape the January and fitness connection, but that is not what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about examining our relationship to exercise, some of the health benefits that work for the general public, and ways to do that in your life. Let's talk a little bit about my experience and my history with exercise. I would describe myself as a PE hater. In fact, one of my first bullies was my elementary school PE teacher. And I know it was not just my experience because I still have connections with people that I went to elementary school with who share the same sentiment. Some of them have even reached out to me and been like, I have no idea how you ended up in the fitness world with the way that we experienced PE as children. I ended up here because of the way that we experienced PE as children. Additionally, I grew up with a lot of body image issues that came from both internal and external input, and how can we even parse them out? I don't know. And I grew up in a very anti-exercise, anti-movement family. I will say that in a traditional way because I grew up with a grandmother who would, I'm saying would, she's still alive and she will do as much of this physical activity as she is allowed to do as a 90-year-old woman. She would take on painting projects and furniture restoration and hauling bricks down the street one at a time or in a wheelbarrow or in a wagon. She would squat to dig in the earth and she would climb a ladder to hang something. But if you ask this woman to go to the gym or to engage in any type of traditional exercise, she would just be like, I don't do that. Really, I did not grow up with an active family, a sporty family. People were tripping over their own feet. I got into exercise and movement the way that a lot of young people, specifically young women, get into it. And it was because I wanted to change the way that my body looked. And that is such a short chapter in my relationship with exercise now. I cannot even tell you how proud I am to say that. I quickly realized that I love physical activity. I loved the fact that I could go to the gym with my friends. I loved the fact that I was getting stronger. I felt like it was adult play, which we talked about already. I was into it from very early on. Also, similar to many 20-somethings, I was into exercise. I had fun going to classes, so I decided, I could do that. I'm gonna get certified. And the rest is history. Let's talk about some of the benefits of exercise and movement outside of the aesthetics. I want to say, once again, this is Gentle January. And one of the pillars of Gentle January is this is not prescriptive. This is not a package specifically for you. It's supposed to be inspiring. It's supposed to spark ideas, but it is not specifically tailored to your personal needs. As always, like I do in my classes, like I do with my personal training clients, and like I want to do with you now, you are allowed to take what you need and leave what doesn't apply. Your worth is not determined by how healthy you are. So we're going to go over some of the things that could be beneficial if you are engaging in exercise and movement, but may not apply to your specific situation. So again, take what you need, leave what you don't. I also want to say that I looked up the benefits of movement specifically for older adults. When we talk about exercise, when we talk about fitness in the traditional lens, there is a lot of ableism, internalized and externalized, when we talk about bodies. The reality is, if we are lucky to live long enough, many of us will develop some type of disability, whether it is needing to wear glasses, hearing aids, needing some mobility devices, having surgeries, knee replacements, etc. And that doesn't even have to happen when you are an older adult. I thought looking up the statistics for older adults would give us a more reasonable, digestible, and goal-oriented way to think about movement, because I know that I am eventually trying to be an older adult, okay? One benefit of exercise, functional movement. I already went over it. If you do not like traditional exercise like going to a gym or going to a class, but you love thrifting and you love antique furniture, you're gonna need some muscles to carry that around your house and from the store to your house. Things like picking up groceries, picking up a pet, picking up a plant, picking up your kids, all require muscles and body movement. Functional movement and functional mobility is one of the biggest benefits of exercise, in my opinion. Reduction in disease risk. Again, this does not mean that you will never get these things. This does not mean that if you experience these things, you have failed and it's because you didn't exercise, but it could provide a reduction in the risk of developing certain types of cancer, certain types of cardiovascular disease. Exercise can also be protective in the fact that if you do develop something like cancer or cardiovascular disease, your relationship with movement and exercise before, during, and after that process could potentially help with your healing. Monitoring chronic health conditions. Again, just a general, but things like type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety, PCOS, and high blood pressure can be helped by exercise and movement. For example, I'm someone who does have PCOS, and I know that my exercise routine and specifically strength training helps so much with a lot of the symptoms that I experience. But I'm just one person. If you are pre-diabetic, engaging in exercise can actually help with your insulin resistance, and the same goes for PCOS, which is why those benefits are very similar. Again, this is just one factor. With PCOS, additionally, it can help with things like regulating your menstrual cycle and just overall general health benefits. Osteoporosis and bone density, exercising, specifically strength training, can help preserve your muscle mass and your bone density. We just talked about functional fitness. I want to be able to do the things that I want to do, and I want to be able to do that for as long as possible. So increasing my muscle mass and preserving my bone density are good things for me. Mental and emotional health. Listen, y'all, you see me now, all right? Some of you engage with me a lot. You know how I am. And this is me on exercise. Exercise can help with things like depression and anxiety, and it can also help improve your sleep, which in my opinion, can improve so many things in your life. If you can improve your sleep just a little bit, there are so many health benefits physically and mentally. Again, with what we talked about in our journaling session and our creative play session, exercise and movement can help improve cognitive function and maintain memory, because the mind-body connection. I guess I shouldn't move the mic. Blah, blah, we know all these things. Recommended amount of exercise. This has been the same for a while, but the American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes of moderate aerobic exercise per week for adults. Here's a fun fact and a shameless plug. I teach 4 classes a week. You can take them live or on demand. And if you take all 4 classes with me every week, you're going to get about 165 active minutes of movement. Now, I cannot tell you if that is going to be your moderate or your intense. I can't tell you if it's even going to make a blip. I'm not a fitness tracker, and I'm not your doctor. If you wear a fitness tracker like an Apple Watch, a Whoop, which is what I wear, or a Ring, Fitbit, any of those, you may be able to get a better idea of what your moderate and intense exercise ranges are and what your average heart rate is. How to find your moderate and intense heart rate levels are based on your age and math. So I am going to put up the little screenshot of the chart, but you're going to have to get out your calculator and figure it out yourself, because I'm not doing that math right now. Again, these are suggestions. You are a unique person and need to be working with your provider if you want something even more specific. It is important to remind you that if you are someone who has sensitive blood pressure, if you have something like POTS, if you have another condition or previous heart conditions, these things are going to vary. So again, working with your body, maybe your personal fitness tracker and your providers is really important. But this is an overall general look. How do you get started? with adding movement, especially movement that you enjoy. I truly feel like it is my duty and one of the reasons that I was put on this earth to tell people that exercise does not need to be miserable and triggering and grueling to be effective and health promoting. And in fact, if it is all of those things, it probably isn't promoting the best version of health for you. If you already have a movement practice, great. I love that for you. The beginning of the year or looking at your goals is a great way to think about if you want to work in something else. If you've been running, if you've been lifting, if you are a walker and you're just feeling like, I need a little extra spice. It doesn't mean that you give up on the running or the walking or the lifting. It just means you add to it, so you're adding more joyful movement to your life. If you are someone with a practice that does not involve my classes yet, I welcome you to join the Level Up Fitness community. Mix it up. If you do not have a movement practice at all right now, if you are currently someone who would consider yourself sedentary, you walk very rarely, you have a sedentary job, and you're just not getting out there a lot, regardless, any amount of movement that you add to your life is going to be positive. Being a beginner is a gift, which is why for the folks who already have a practice, I recommended trying something new. Not only will it be a novelty for your brain, but it will be a novelty for your body, and your body will respond faster to new stimuli. So if you are someone who currently does 0 active minutes of movement per week, adding 5 to 10 minutes a day is going to stimulate your body and your brain so much. Which is why when I started this, and I started by saying the 75 hard thing, it was because if you're going from 0 to 75 hard, your body is going to be like, zoom. You have the potential for injury and burnout. We all have the potential for injury and burnout, but specifically as a beginner going from 0 to 75 hard, there is a large potential for you to get completely burned out, pull something, twist something. It sounds cliche, but you could take a 5-minute dance break. You could push your chair away from your desk and do a few stretches and some breath work. You can do the classic on the poster, park your car further away and get a few extra steps. You can start small, you could start slow, and you can start and stay very unserious. When you start dragging in a lot of emotions around being perfect, or doing things exactly right, or doing things exactly enough, or whatever, the health benefits are actually decreasing. Because we said that this is supposed to be helping with your anxiety, helping with your depression. If you're freaking out constantly over your exercise routine, I feel like we're canceling things out here. If you are someone who is looking for more help and more guidance, I am going to be teaching my workshop Back to Movement once again in 2026. So you could click the link and you can sign up, and I would love to have you there. Because this is Gentle January, I will leave you with a question and a little bit of sweetness. How are you reframing, reinventing, and reinvigorating your relationship with movement and exercise in 2026? Movement does not need to be intense and rigorous and horrible to be valuable. I will be here cheering you on forever and always in the capacity that I am able to. And I am so excited to move with some of you in 2026. All right, that's it for today. Love you so much. Bye.